if you throw a lot of out there, there's some point at which I'm just raising questions is not a valid thing. Mm-hmm. You're not raising questions. You're not asking questions. You're telling people something.
Do you think Daryl's doing that?
I think there's a whole bunch of guys doing that. I think Dave is doing that, very obviously. Dave's a comedian, but he's now mainly talking about Israel.
No, I don't know if I'm mainly talking about Israel.
That's all I see you on the internet doing.
Yeah, but that's you.
Well, that might be what you've seen.
It's
but
just
I don't
you
think that's.
consuming
but that is also your shtick now, isn't it?
Well, what do you mean by that's my shtick?
Well, you're not a geopolitics guy in general, are you?
This clip is going viral because it symbolizes pretty much everything wrong with the media ecosystem in America right now and with the media literacy of most people who consume it. This British guy in the video is right to point out that there is something off about comedians, like saying like, I'm just asking questions. There's something weird about how cool it makes people feel to talk about people who are experts. But like, I get why they do it though. Listen to this guy.
Have you been to the crossing points?
No.
When were you last there at all?
I've never been.
You've never been?
Like, here's a cartoon of a talk down your nose British ivory tower piece of Also doesn't make sense when people are like, this guy's right. Joe Rogan never has experts on his show to contradict him. Bro, this is an expert on his show contradicting him. And remember when he was in the middle of his COVID misinformation and he had an expert on his show contradicting him?
2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true.
2 seconds later.
Myocarditis more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children? Yeah, we're talking about young people.
Men and boys aged under 30 after this is what it says here.
With children is the issue.
Well, no, we were talking about 15-year-olds.
Well, we're talking about young children.
Male
so
yes, 12 to 17.
12 to 17, more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Also, it points out that no one watches the totality of anyone else's stuff, especially if they don't like them. And I understand why. Joe Rogan's podcasts are like 25 hours long. And they're mostly about punching people in the dick. Like, the British guy is under the mistaken impression that all Dave Smith does is talk about Israel. Dave Smith is under the mistaken impression that anyone has seen him be funny ever. Like, I'm sure he is funny in clubs, but no one has seen those clips. The British guy is right in that people think of him as the Israel-Palestine guy. And that's what people want him to talk more about. I'm not criticizing him. It's like how Ken Jeong is a doctor and an actor. But no one really asks him about the doctor stuff. I want to ask if that's his real dick in The Hangover. And that's what's so messed up about this media environment where comedians have like think talks. Like, I long for the day when like I see a clip of a comedian being funny. My feed is just so full of comedians trying to be the next Joe Rogan. And look, I've worked in all parts of this industry. Like, I've written pure comedy. Somewhere back there's an award for it. I also have worked in news. I've worked in like the ungodly baby those two things had called infotainment. Ugh. And the one thing I can say very confidently is like there's only like 25 journalists left. The rest of it's not journalism. Most of it's opinion, because that's the only thing that generates revenue and or hasn't been bought up by a billionaire. And I understand that people can confuse journalism with podcasting. In both of those scenarios, they're just asking questions. The difference is in journalism, the journalist will go to a bunch of different people and ask them the same question and different questions and then fact check their answers to those questions and then actually, quote, do their own research and have an editor make sure that like they did their own research. But like most stuff isn't journalism. Like if you look in the White House press room, that's not journalists. There's a couple, but like if the people are there in the press room because they are filling the seat of someone that Donald Trump kicked out of that press room for asking him like a real question and pushing back on his answer, that's not a journalist. And you get moments like this.
Everybody in the press wants to know this. How do you do it, Mr. President? I haven't set up at 2 a.m. in the morning since I was 25, and now we're 2:16 in the morning having a press conference. How do you do it?
But the worst kind of media, it's media that it tries to appeal to people who just want to sound smart and sound better than other people. They want that little edge. They want that little nugget that they can repeat at a party if they ever go to one, but probably just so they can feel awesome in a comment on a video they saw on Instagram. That's it. And that cut is where so many podcasts and viral clips live right now. We came across this video that sums the whole dynamic up quite well.
Hi, I'm hoping you can help me. I am feeling very insecure about my personal lack of education. And what I'm really looking for is a set of alternative factoids that run counter to mainstream education that I could use to feel superior to people who are actually educated on those subjects. Should these alternative facts reflect objective reality, or do you not care? No. They don't have to be reflective of reality. In fact, if you want, you can make them dangerous to myself, to my family, to the community. I'm not looking for accurate facts. I'm just trying to tamp down this inexhaustible supply of insecurity that I feel whenever someone knows more about a subject than I do. Well, all right then. I have some podcasts for you.
What's hilarious to me is this fake modesty inherent in this, like, oh, I'm just a comedian, I'm just asking question approach. But like, let's be honest, no comedian's modest. The whole thing is like, yo, I'm a performer, but I don't need a cast. I don't need anyone. It's just me. Give me a microphone so these thoughts can be louder. There's no modesty in I'm just a comedian. And especially in the like, I'm just a comedian here to prove that experts suck. There is nothing modest in saying that you're smarter than not just one expert, but experts. This dynamic only appeals to the millions of people who think they're smarter than everybody else. Like, people listen to Joe Rogan for the same reason they watch the Masters golf tournament. You watch it so that at many points throughout the multiple hours you're sitting there, you can feel better than people who are the best at this thing in the world. Like feeling superior to a guy who's #1 at golf in the world because this one time he missed a putt that I could make while drunk on 15 light beers that I drunk over the course of 14 holes. But I get it. Like, I hate this dynamic. This mentality is why Donald Trump is president of the United States again. And it's why, like, RFK is in charge of, I think, whether I live or die. Like, Trump picked him because he goes on these podcasts and is like, I'm just asking questions. And it has real life consequences. Like, he is going to, quote, look into the causes for autism, and guess who he put in charge of it?
It stood out to us that Secretary Kennedy has hired someone named David Geyer to conduct analysis of the links between autism and vaccines. He was charged by the state of Maryland in 2011 with practicing medicine without a license. That was weeks after his father's medical license was suspended for putting autistic children at risk by giving them a hormone blocking agent. So, what should the public know or expect from the work that he will do for the U.S. government?
So all I can say is I would not concede. He's, to the best of my knowledge, he's not had any training after college in any of the sciences that we value here. What I think we can expect is the expected, that there will be an association determined between vaccines and autism because it's already been determined. This is not how science is conducted.
And here's something that's really depressing. It's not as depressing as that, but it is quite depressing. It's like this clip is going viral. And this video that I just made and you just watched is not gonna go viral. Why? Because I don't have a distinct through line of who the good guy is and who the bad guy is in this video. Like, this video would do better if I was like, Joe Rogan is a piece of clown, and this British dude punked him on his own show. And that might well be the title of this video. But that's obviously not what it's about. And I would say it's because I have integrity, but then again, I did title it this title. Like, I'm a piece of too. But I know that I would get more views in this video if I contributed to the problem instead of actually trying to solve it. But then again, what the do I know? I'm just a comedian, which you probably couldn't tell. I appreciate when people make it to the end of the videos, because by the end it does end up kind of like this every time. But it is what it is.